Hi. I just want to welcome everybody that is just joining me on this journey. My name is Jennifer Rose, and for the last couple of weeks, we've been working on some foundational practices to make habits. This has been an incredible journey. For those of you that have been following me, subscribing, liking my page, thank you for supporting me and supporting what I'm trying to do. And also for those that don't subscribe or follow, I also thank you, because if you are getting something out of this, I'm doing this for you, for all of you. For the one across this screen is why I'm doing this. This week has kind of been a struggle because with my first video of why you have to self-heal, I got my explanation, not too hard of a video. Then you go to gratitude. And if you've ever lost everything in your life and you're giving it back, the gratitude practice was kind of easy for me. And then the self-care, also pretty easy, because if I didn't start taking care of myself, I wasn't going to be able to be there for anyone anyways. So that one was kind of easy. The grounding video that I just did last week, it was easy because as soon as I walked into that yoga studio at the Prairie Athletic Club, that's when I started my grounding practice. And Lauren's meditation series, again, gave me so many helpful tips on how to ground. So that has been something that's been part of my life for quite a while. And the week's topic is support. And I have to say, this is the hardest video to do, because it was the most challenging one to practice to make a habit. And I thought of this lesson plan that, I'll talk about this, get these details down. And that's not going to work with this video. This video is about my story, because sometimes hearing someone else's story, you find truths or you resonate in your own story. So in the self-care video, I talked about the beginning of my story, where things went wrong, which hindsight that I could have had to change my life. This video regarding support is at the end of the chapter in my story. One chapter in my story, I put the end to it. On September 18th, I came out publicly to everybody that I've known throughout my life and told about the worst moment in my life, when I had my psychosis, which is basically the worst mental breakdown that you can have. And I wasn't doing it for anyone else. I was doing it for myself, to be free of my narrative. That I could tell my story my way, and I wouldn't have to repeat it unless I chose to. But I made the video, and I walked away from my phone, grounded myself. That was a huge moment for me. And I came back to my phone. And you know what I found? I didn't find rejection. I didn't find people that are mean. I found people that loved and supported me. I found people that I haven't talked to in years come and say, I'm so proud of you, Jen. I'm here if you need me. And I realized in that moment that you do have a lot of support, but you close the door because of your anger, because of your past, because of you holding yourself back from opening the door to support. So I want to go to the end of my story. The reason why support is so important. You cannot self-heal without connecting, even if it's just one individual that sees you, hears you, and validates you. If you're a person that is all alone watching this video and feels so alone, then maybe you need to reach out to a professional. That could be a therapist, that could be a counselor, but you could also reach out to somebody that's had life experience and is in the other end. I will be opening up my business as a self-healing mentor to do one-on-ones. And I'll talk about that later after this practices to make habits is done, because this, right, what I'm doing is the most important. So to the end of my chapter and why support is so important. I had this experience, this one that I can't explain and I won't hear, but I ended up outside of my garage, handcuffed in the back of a car. And if you've ever had handcuffs on you, it is a feeling of your freedom is gone. And I almost thank the fact that I wasn't in my right mind, because I think if it was, it would probably have been even more traumatic for me. I can almost see it now as a distance. But you're sitting in the back of a cop car, and all of the cops were so completely respectful and nice and kind, and I truly thank them for how they treated me. But I have handcuffs on, go to a hospital, and because they need to figure out what to do with you, I'm handcuffed to a bed, and I'm looked at like a specimen. And it wasn't them being mean to me. It's just that's the feeling that, you know, I feel like in that moment I didn't do anything wrong, but something I did, I ended up there. So they found a mental hospital for me, and I got to the mental hospital, still handcuffed. And when I walked in, the nurse looked at me and says, okay, take your cuffs off. So they took my cuffs off, and I sat across from her, shivering. And at that point, I had nothing and no one, and I didn't care. That was proof to me, in my mind, that I didn't need anyone, and obviously no one cared about me. So we're a couple of days into the mental hospital, and I'm in a room, and we're going over a worksheet, and the worksheet is a house, and they have you fill out the house with the different support systems that you have, so you can kind of get a visual. So on the top of this house, the roof, on the left side, you have to put what your support is. So I look at it and I'm like, oh, myself. And everybody's going around saying who their support system, and they're naming their mom, their spouse, their family, their friends, maybe it's a coworker, and they're all going around the room. And these are people that I'm talking to at a mental hospital. They are at their darkest days too, and they all have support. Yes, they're having troubles right now, but they have support. And I was looking at them and I was like, you can't have anyone support you. You support yourself. And if you had a childhood that you felt that you had to take care of yourself from a very young age, you probably have a deep-seated trust issues. And I did not know that until I landed into the mental hospital and we did that experiment, the house. And I found in that moment that hard truth that I am where I am because I did not seek support, because I did not trust anyone. I was the only one that could take care of me. So now that comes in. And I decide in that moment, I went back to my room and I was crying it out, recognizing that I was alone, recognizing that I put myself there, recognizing what I was doing to the people that I love by not seeking support. And a woman walked in and she gave me a hug and she goes, "I'm here for you if you need somebody." And again, these people are at their worst moment, but the kindness of strangers is amazing. A small pebble in a big pond. One act of kindness can change people, and that is why I'm doing these videos. I am not just sharing my story for the drama of it. I am sharing my story so maybe a child only inherits your good looks and not your worries, not your fears, and not your childhood trauma. That if I can help somebody have a better day because they made one small change in their life, sometimes a small change can make an entirely big impact on your life. So back to my story. So they finally get released from the mental hospital and I take as much support there as possible. Now, that being said, that's like worksheets, things, information. That was my first support, really, is information. And then I took that and I brought that to the halfway house. And I opened up my eyes that I need to trust somebody. And I think that people that have deep-seated trust issues are very self-defensive. You know, I think you are not ready to listen until you want to hear what people have to say. You have to be ready. And I was ready. I was a motivated human. I was going to get my stuff together and I was going to get support. So the people at the halfway house were some of the most amazing people because, you know, each individual has something different to offer you with regards to support. But they were honest with me. And I think if you're looking for an advocate in your life, they have to see you, they have to hear you, they have to validate you. But most importantly, they have to be honest with you. And that is my last practice to make habit, is honesty. So that will be next week. So we'll go into details there. But they were honest with me. And in doing so, fundamentally changed how I viewed myself, how I viewed others, how I started to recognize that I was 100% of the problem. Because here's the thing, can I blame other people for literally at my darkest days abandoning me? Could I say that my parents didn't do a great job? I have a million excuses, but what does that get me? Does that get me in my car driving, or does it make me stalled on the road? Unless we take 100% control, because number one truth that we talked about in the last video, we can only control ourselves. So until we are ready to 100% blame us for the situation we're in, we can't change it. And here's the wonderful thing about that too, is when you are completely honest with yourself, you start trusting yourself, because your number one support system is still you. You are the one that has to solve your problems. If you're going to other people for all the answers, then how are you going to develop your own way of thinking? It is like a teacher giving the answers to all of the tests. You don't really learn anything. You're just copying, pasting. You have to be your number one support. But once you trust yourself, once you're honest with yourself, if someone does confront you with their truth, you will know yourself well enough to say, you know what? I thank you for your honesty, but I believe that you're wrong. And you have the right and authority to be able to do that. So to finish up my story, I finally got out of the hay house. My husband picked me up. And I had my therapist. And she was my first step, was professional. And I opened up to her. I had a therapist before my mental breakdown, but I garbage canned her. I just vented. I didn't work on anything. It was just me telling her my crap, dumping it. I did not get into therapy until last year with my current therapist. So she was my first support system, was her. In contact. But the people that I met along the way, the information that I got helped me get to that point for sure. And then my husband, I opened up to him and started to trust him as well. And we both needed to build trust together to support each other. And again, an advocate in your life is going to see you, hear you, validate you, and also be honest with you. And we can have a number of cheerleaders in our life. All of you that are here, you're supporting me. And I hope in a way I am supporting you too. So I don't have any homework this week. What I want you to do, and the reason that I'm bringing this video early, is because I believe that you are not alone. Support is out there. If you are struggling, go talk to a professional. They are 100% for you. Personal people that are your advocates, you are there for each other. And it doesn't mean that you could be struggling and somebody else could be helping you, but you have to have a balanced relationship. And when you do get personal support, qualify that support. Look at what's going on in their lives. Can they truly be able to hear you, see you, and validate you without filtering through their own stuff that they have going on? I always, before I talk to anybody, before I vent or ask for advice, I say, hey, I would like to run something that I'm struggling with you. Are you available mentally to be able to hear me? And the people that are your advocates say yes or they say no. And if they say no, I do not get offended. I honor that because they are honoring me and they're honoring themselves. So remember that if someone says, no, I'm not available, they are being there for you, because the advice that they give you might not be what you need to hear in that moment. But because they have a good grounding practice, they're now in the now with you, they will be able to give you something that is priceless. So I leave you with these words. You are not alone. Support is there. From my heart to yours, I do these videos in one take because I am speaking to you, the person watching this video. I want what's best for you because in a way that's what I needed and I didn't get it. And maybe I wasn't ready to hear. And maybe you are, to make some changes in your life. So seek help, seek support. You will be so glad you did. Bye, my beautiful souls. See you next week for honesty. Bye.